Welcome to the Living the Dream podcast with Curveball. If you believe, you can achieve. Welcome to the Living the Dream with Curveball podcast, a show where I interview guests that teach, motivate, and inspire. Today, I am joined by Emmy Award winner, inspirational speaker, and self-mastery coach, formerly known as the actor Kiko Ellsworth. He trains teams and individuals alike to perform to their highest self, and his saying is, if you have you, you have everything. So, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me and sending peace and blessings and prosperity to everyone that is listening. I'm glad to be here.
Why don't you start off by telling everybody a little bit about yourself?
Let's see. Let me just put it in a quick nutshell. I started off with acting and walked away from the acting because I really didn't have me as a person. And I went on a journey to discover me, and that was about a 10-year process just to really build the inner foundation of me and my soul being in my life. And once that came full circle, the entertainment came back. It includes, my coaching with training men and training teams on how to be the best version of themselves, particularly as men, and how to really show up as a divine man, because there's a divine man in every single man. And that's really my passion, and using the entertainment and the speaking to help men to evolve into their highest capacity so we can show up as the fathers, the partners, the husbands, the leaders that we're supposed to be in this world.
So tell everybody how you started acting, and why do you say, kind of like formerly known as the actor?
Yeah, so my acting journey started, I got sort of pressured into it, never wanted to do it. And a couple of friends, it took them a couple of years. We were working out at a gym to just have me finally meet his agent. And one thing led to another. I started taking acting classes. They were representing me as agents. And I got to this one acting class. And I remember it was a Thursday night, the producer, it was a showcase. These producers and directors and agents and managers are there, and all the women are dressed up and the men are dressed up. And you had these printed out headshots when we used to like print out headshots back in the day. Now you don't print them out anymore. And so, this Thursday night was supposed to be the best of the best. And I remember being on stage, and I was looking at the actress, and the audience was on my left, and the audience, these lights from the top were flashing on me and, lighting up the stage. And I was looking at her, and my throat was collapsing on me. It was like someone had their hands on my throat, and I was just talking breathy, and I was trying to say my lines, and they were barely coming out like this. And the teacher, Bobby, she said, cut, what are you doing? Just say your line, stop talking all breathy. And, I was trying my best, but I was nervous, and I was, had stage fright. And so one thing led to another. We finished the scene. I gave my little fake smile and thank you. It was horrible as far as I was concerned because I was so afraid. And I got off that stage, and I shook it off, and I really, I cursed at myself. And I said, well, that wasn't me. That wasn't the truth. That was really what I said to myself. That's the sticker, is like, that wasn't the true me. Right. And I was basically lying to myself, and that really messed me up. And that's when I really took on acting. I said, okay, I'm going to battle this thing. It was really more about me wanting to be truthful to myself. And that's why I started doing it. And that, I got on shows. Port Charles did hundreds of shows, and Bad Boys 2, CSI, Lucifer, Heroes, and did all these shows. And then my career just became unfulfilling. Like I kind of lost my way, because it really just entertainment just magnifies what's already there. And back then, that was back in 2000, 2003, 2007, like in that range, I really didn't have me. I didn't have the inner foundation. So it just magnified how much the bigger I got, the bigger it magnified how much I was lost within myself. And so when I went on my journey and walked away from the entertainment industry, I really started discovering my spiritual self. And that's after about that 12, 10, 12 years of that journey, you know, um, I really transitioned into my spiritual name, my identity. I was like, I want a name that's really going to hold the context better of the energy that I now relate to in me, the energy that I've cultivated, and that's where the name Iseluleko, came, and Iseluleko means he who was born with an internal compass.
Well, talk about your most memorable moment on a movie set.
Oh yeah, that was actually just most recently this year in 2022, a film that's called Alone Today. There's Eric Roberts is in that, Danny Trejo, Shannon Elizabeth, Frank Whaley, and I play the bad guy in the film, the quote unquote bad guy, and there's a little twist to it as well, which is really great to. And so the best part of that film actually had nothing to do with the acting. It really had to do with all that. Remember, I told you I walked away from the entertainment industry and I really found myself. It really had to do with being able to be of service to those that were behind the camera, when the camera's not rolling, what I was able to offer. So I was, Eric Roberts had this cool story around this. Eric Roberts had an assistant. He does so many movies that he needs an assistant literally to hold up his cue cards. And so his assistant was this like little 20, 21-year old Caucasian kid, kind of nerdy, nervous energy, that type. And so before the scene that I had with Eric, I was talking with Eric's assistant. And we were, talking for about 45 minutes. And I'm a Kundalini yoga teacher. I teach breath work. I teach yoga. I teach meditation. That's what the stuff I learned how to connect with myself. So, with this kid, I just naturally started, teaching him because he wanted to learn. And I started teaching him about his breath and things like that and having a hold of himself you know, and then, smash cut forward to the scene that I'm in with Eric. So this is about like, an hour or two later after I talked with his assistant. I'm in the scene about to pull a gun out on Eric, and he's about to come out this liquor store. I'm leaning up on his car, about to pull a gun out on Eric in the scene. And so Eric's facing me. And so his assistant ran, for Eric to see the lines that his assistant holds up on the cue cards. His assistant actually stands about 10 feet behind me. So Eric can look at me, but still see his lines right behind me. So that's the positioning that his assistant was running to. So he's running to get into position because everyone was like, quiet on set, quiet on set. And then so we're all getting ready and he's running to, his position behind me. And then he trips over this C stand and makes all this noise. And everyone's on the set is just like they kind of put their head up. They're like, oh no, this kid is making all the noise. They're trying to be quiet. And so then the guy says, okay, quiet, everybody settle. And so I turn around to look at all this noise that's happening with the kid. And he doesn't look at the director. He doesn't look at Eric. He looks straight at me. And he just puts his hand on his belly, signifying that he's remembering to breathe from our conversation that we had. Because we talked about no matter what happens, when you're stressed out, when things go awry, just center on your breath and make sure you breathe low into your belly and you breathe. And he just looked at me and put his hand on his belly, signaling he wasn't going to freak out. And I just turned back around and got ready for the scene. And that was the most amazing moment because, to be able to, that conversation had that sort of impact on him that he ingested it and it changed his life, that he didn't freak out. He didn't, get, beat himself up was really the most amazing part of that movie set for me.
So, what is your dream role, movie role?
For me, the dream movie role has to do with A man that is able to transmute and transform from unconsciousness to consciousness. And what I mean by that is a man, just like, so how many men in the world may be doing wrong or not showing up with morals and values. They may be taking advantage of, their job. They may be stealing. They may be abusive. They may be taking advantage of women, or whatever the case may be. They might not just be living at their highest capacity and in alignment with themselves. I think that that type of character, as well as that type of man, actually presents so much value to the world, because when that character is able to harness their true power by having the courage to look at their wrongs and to look at their mistakes and to turn them into lessons and to alchemize that darkness into like light, or that dirt into gold, when they're able to transform those things, they are, from what I've been able to experience, the most value and transformation for the world, to be able to take all of what they've learned in the darkness and the unconsciousness and travel the long distance into the art, into the light. It's kind of like the further you pull the slingshot into the darkness, the more power it has to slingshot into the light. And so that's what I see. So a character that actually can be that darkness, but then go through a transformational process and do that much good in the world for the light, for the consciousness as well. That would be my dream role.
In your speaking and training programs, you have something called the Soils of Wisdom. Elaborate on that and how listeners can benefit from that.
Oh, absolutely. The Swords of Wisdom actually has a lot to do with that character that I just described. The soil, when we make mistakes, like, everybody makes mistakes. Everybody has, not paid their bills, or got into a car accident, or, treated somebody how they didn't want to treat them, or treated themselves, or, made so many things that we regret, things that we are unresolved, things that we're shameful about. Like, everybody has something about that. And often we tend to try to hide away from those things. And, kind of like, a baby soils its diaper. We kind of treat it like a baby soiling its diaper. It's like, ooh, let's just throw that away. Let's not pay attention to it. But when we do that, we're actually missing out on our own wisdom. And, to be able to, instead of that lesson, ignoring it and treating it like a baby soiling its diaper, we can actually transmute those mistakes into an actual soil that wisdom grows out of. So actually, vital and soil, like how a tree grows out of the soil, if we're able to look at it in a different way. So when we have all of these mistakes in our lives, the soil of wisdom is being able to look at these mistakes and really extract the soul lesson from them. Because inherently, in all of our mistakes and all of our errors and all of our misunderstandings, there's actually a soul lesson, a lesson for the soul in every single one of them. And usually we miss out on all of that because we get caught up in being guilty or shameful or beating ourselves up, about these situations. Like, oh, I shouldn't have done that, or oh man, I just feel so bad. And we don't look at cleaning those situations up. And when we're able to clean those situations up and make right, we actually alchemize those situations into our own wisdom that we can share with the world. So that process is what I've coined the soils of wisdom, is transmuting our soils, our mistakes, into our actual wisdom that we would offer the world.
So, speaking of mistakes, talk about your biggest mistake in life and how you transformed it into wisdom to share with others.
Yeah, I would say my biggest mistake in life is, let me think about that. My biggest mistake, I'm picking between all the mistakes that I've made, you know. I would say one of my biggest mistakes in life is not knowing, not showing up as a father actually. In the beginning, and that was actually part of the soul plan, I believe, is being able to learn from the mistakes. Again, like the souls of wisdom. So like I had a father growing up, but I really didn't have a a father that was fully there, health in healthy ways, fully be able to give me that sort of divine father presence, so I could learn how to be a father myself, which is very, very common for most of us in this world. Having that energy. So, me not knowing how to show up as a father myself really taught me a lot, and it took me, close to 5 years to just get on the path to just learning what that is. I learned so many things along the way, and then the next 5 years, I learned some even deeper lessons. And in that those mistakes that I'd made, in the earlier phases of being a father, really taught me how to heal myself. It taught me how to heal that little boy. It taught me how to help other men. It taught me actually how to even help heal my father, in those mistakes that I didn't have any idea on how to be a father. It actually I was able to transmute that into wisdom, transmute that into gold, not knowing initially how to show up as a father, just sticking with it, continue to ask for support, really continue to learn how to be a father, wanting to be a father, a great father, magnificent father, and just sticking with it. I finally broke through with that and transmuted that mistake into my wisdom.
Well, tell us what you mean when you say once you have you, you have everything.
I mean, that's what what many of us don't have is we're trying to be something. We're trying to be that person over there, or we're trying to be successful like this person, or we're trying to be sexy like that person, or we're trying to look good like this person, or dress like that person, or we're trying to have the car like that person. And for me, with the acting, it was like I was trying to be a big star like that person. We do all of this stuff that's external to the real power. And there's the real power of someone's presence is all within. It's like just laying, it's like reclining in this reclining lounge chair, right? Many of us are trying to go out and get something when all we really have to do is recline within ourselves. Because once we actually know um our strong points, our weak points, we accept our quirks. Once we like are at home with who we are on the inside, we start to know, okay, this is the direction that I'm supposed to go. These are the people that I'm supposed to serve. These are the things that I'm supposed to do. This is why I'm here on this planet. And this is my purpose, my mission. But once we go internal and get a hold of ourselves, we get clarity on all of those things. But if we're seeking outside of ourselves, we'll never get clarity on those things. And once we get clarity on that stuff, once we actually have the self, you have everything. You don't need anything in the world because you have the core of everything that you create, which is you. So hence the term, once you have everything.
So give some advice to people who might be still stuck in their past and might be beating themselves up over maybe their past mistakes and stuff like that.
Yeah, there's an exercise that we do, and what I would say is a very practical exercise. So you want to grab a pen and a little journal, and you want to look at your top three most painful mistakes. What are the things that you're beating yourself up about? What are the things that you're shameful about? What are the things that you're guilty about? Just take three of them, right? And you want to take those three things and list them out, and you want to separate them, and you want to write, okay, what am I most guilty about? What do I feel about this situation? Right? What am I beating myself up? But you want to get it out. What am I beating myself up? What did I dislike about this situation? You want to get that out first, right? And then with that situation number one, you want to say, okay, that's what I feel about it. That's how I've been feeling about it. This is how I've been feeling guilty. And then you want to look deeper into that same situation. You want to say, okay, but what did I learn about that? and you want to take a few deep breaths. You might want to walk in nature and give yourself space and time to really think about, what did I learn as a soul being? What did I really learn, from the situation? Because sometimes it challenges situations. Say, for example, maybe someone was in an abusive relationship, right? That's very, very common. So if someone was in an abusive relationship, we know the obvious signs of how this was bad and how this person suppressed me. They might have put their hands on me. This, that, the other. We have all the obvious stuff, but then we might be missing out on something deeper. Like, well, this was an abusive situation, but what did I learn as a soul? It's like, well, I had to stand up for myself. But yeah, because before that, I wouldn't stand up for myself, and I learned to I learned to use my voice. Yeah, and I became an advocate for other people, and I learned to help other people, and I learned boundaries. I didn't know boundaries before that, because those are the hidden lessons. And if we can learn to look into those top three situations that we may be feeling guilty and shameful or beating ourselves up about, if we can learn to see and transmute and look at the soul lessons that we learned, we'll start to actually transmute something that was holding us back, that was a shackle, that was an anchor, that was a sandbag, will transmute it into a propulsion, something that can propel us forward and upward into our lives when we're able to go through that process. So I would just take three of those situations, the ones that are weighing on you the most, lay out how you currently feel about each of them, and then look deeper into them and say, what did I really, really, really learn and get from this at a soul level, at a divine level, at a spiritual level, and really get that clear. And once you do that process, you'll start to learn how to do that with everything you do. So you'll see the spiritual gifts in all challenges, and then you'll be really able to anchor yourself in your divine sight, your divine vision.
Well, tell us about your free Divine Man Masterclass. Tell us what it's all about, and how the listeners can tap into it and check it out if they like.
Yeah, so that's real simple. I mean, it's not real long to explain that. So that's, you can actually on my social media, particularly Instagram, it's a divine man. That's my Instagram handle, a divine man. And on my link in bio, you can actually go to my men's self mastery page, and there's a free masterclass where I would go there with a pen and pad, and I take you as a man through the process on the steps that I did to awaken myself, the steps that I did to get a hold of myself, so you can get an idea of the process that it takes to actually be your own divine man, to step into your own power as a man, to get a hold of yourself, to align with your true power. So I give you the steps that I took, so you can actually get your brain wrapped around, okay, I'm looking to do this, and these are the steps that I'm going to be taking to do that. And so I take you through that step, and I would actually go in there, take notes and write it down, and really go through the process, because this process, when you go through it, is basically what anyone has to go through to become the divine version of themselves.
Do you have any current or upcoming projects that you're working on that people need to know about? I know you got a new film coming out here pretty soon.
Yeah, that's the one that you'll be able to see most recently. Oh yeah, that one's coming out in 2023. That one's called Alone Today. And there's I just did an interview with because I do a lot of different things as far as in entertainment, in front of the camera, behind the camera. I just interviewed Noel Skaggs of Fits and the Tantrums, and that is on oh my gosh, what is that on? That's on Revel for Good. I think that's at revelforgood.com. And she's a big, star. She's a singer, and I interviewed her with regards to mental health and her mental health and the mental health awareness. So that's a great interview that's out for the next few weeks on revelforgood.com, I believe it is. I think I'll put a link in my bio as well too, so you can actually get to that as well. But that's a current interview that is did. Alone Today is going to be out next year in 2023. And I have a couple other films that I'm actually shooting that haven't come out just yet, that we haven't finished shooting those. that I'll mention those later on, but I can't mention those just yet.
Well, talk about, I know you mentioned you played in Bad Boy 2. Tell us what you did in Bad Boys 2.
The devil is not welcome here. I was shooting Will Smith and Martin Lawrence and throwing cars at him and shooting AK-47s and the Pink House and doing all sorts of, bad guy thing roles, stuff that I can't do, and we can't do in this, at least I can't. I don't do it in real life, but it's fun doing it on the screen. So yeah, I was Blondie Dread in that film, long blonde dreadlocks of the Haitian Zoe Pounders gang. And yeah, that was a lot of fun working with Will and Martin and Gabrielle Union and Michael Bay and Jerry Bruckheimer back in the day. And yeah, that was a lot of fun, a lot of fun. My character didn't die, so maybe they'll in Bad Boys 4 or something they'll bring back Blondie Dread.
Speaking of Will Smith, just a side question. What did you think about the Oscar slap?
Uh, you know, Will is a great guy. Everyone has their challenges, and I just, I'm not quick to judge anybody. I'm not quick to say this or that or have an opinion about it. Like I've had my challenges too. I'm sure people have many opinions about me not being able to show up as a dad, but I think that these are all soul lessons for all of us. You know what I'm saying? And I think that none of us need to, judge a book by its cover. Everybody's struggling with different things, and everyone has their own agreements in a soulful way. Being able to, we have to all learn things, and they show up in circumstances. They show up like slaps. They show up like being abused. They show up like not being a dad. So, I send love to my brother. You know what I'm saying? That's a challenge that he set out for himself that he gets to overcome, that he gets to learn something from. And he's going to learn something great because Will is a champion no matter what. He's a champ. He's a spiritual champion. That doesn't mean that nobody's perfect. We're not supposed to be perfect. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. Nobody in entertainment is perfect. Nobody. You know what I'm saying? We all have our things in our closets. So, and Will is the same thing. Jada, everybody has those things. So, I just think that this is one of his challenges that he probably has already overcome. He's going to pay his karma, just like all of us pay our karma, and we're going to learn what we're supposed to learn from it. It's no big deal. It's just life.
Go ahead and throw out your contact information. I know you talked about A Divine Man, but give out websites, any way people can keep up with you so we can check out that new film when it comes out.
Oh yeah, it's so my handles are all a divine man on TikTok, on Instagram, and that's really the best place. And then if you want to go straight to my coaching, you can punch up the divinemancoaching.com, the divinemancoaching.com. And yeah, you can check out the masterclass. You can reach out to me if you're looking at actually up leveling and letting your own divine man come out. Yeah, we can possibly work together.
All right. So close us out with some final thoughts. Maybe it's something that I didn't touch on that you would like to touch on, or just any final thoughts you got for the listeners.
Absolutely. This world is pretty chaotic and pretty, moving really, really fast. So the one thing I would like to say that, to not get caught up, to really move forward in a productive way is go internal. That will save you every time. Go internal every single day, even if it's just 5 minutes, and start to get a hold of your intuition. Start to hear your intuition. Start to hear who you are as a person. Make that a habit because that will be your guidance. That will be your guidance through these chaotic times because things are getting crazy out there. Lots is happening. And what will protect you is hearing your inner voice, and trusting it. It's not, and the way that you know that it's your inner voice is that it doesn't make sense. Your brain, when you overthink things, will justify things and have a million reasons, but your intuition won't necessarily give you any reason. It'll just say, I think I should do this, and you won't know why. It'll just pull you in a direction. Listen to that. You don't want to necessarily listen to your head. You want to listen to your intuition. You want to learn to do that. And then the second thing I want to say is, it's so important for our brothers to know ourselves so we can show up in the world properly, so we can show up as divine men, so we can show up as men that protect women from the outside in as they protect us from the inside out. Because together, man and women, that yin and yang, we are invincible. And it's so important for us to bring that household back together, because without the man and the woman, we cannot have a child. We won't have the human race. So coming back into balance as the divine masculine, as a divine feminine, is so key, particularly in these times, to honor each other as co-creative beings, as the yin, as the yang, to have that respect, to protect each other, to love each other as brother and sisters is so, so very key. So if you're boyfriend and girlfriend, or if you're husband and wife, or brother and sister, find that foundational element, that agape love, where you can see, okay, I see and respect this person that is my opposite, this woman or this man, and come back into really seek that balance, that harmony, just as divine beings, just as divine siblings, so we can actually create balance in our world. So that's what I have to say. I love you. Sending all my brothers and sisters peace and divine protection and balance and harmony. I love you. And thank you so much, Curtis, for having me. God bless you, brother.
God bless you too. Thank you for coming on, a divine man. Hopefully they put you on the Bad Boys 4. Listeners, check out absolutely check out the new film when it comes out. Please be sure to follow, rate, review, share this episode to as many people as possible. Check out that coaching class. Issei, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you. God bless you, everybody.
For more information on the Living the Dream podcast, visit www.djcurveball.com. Until next time, stay focused on living the dream.